And good morning, and welcome to the third in the series of 16 presentations that are uh, designed to give you some familiarity with. Let me get rid of this music. To give you some familiarity with Napoleon Hill's concepts on uh, the law of success. So today's lesson is going to be on self-confidence. And we're going to start out with, of course, I always open up with you can do it if you believe you can. That's something that Napoleon Hill said all the time: what the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So you can do it if you believe you can. Now, self-confidence can be killed very easily by skepticism. Skepticism is the enemy of progress and self-development. So we want to avoid skepticism. We want to make sure that our self-confidence is not shaken by our disbelief that we can accomplish a goal. We can accomplish anything we want to as long as we believe in ourselves. And self-confidence is the key to manifesting a lot of your dreams and getting your reality to be in line with your goals. So let's open this up with the fact that let's recap the last two lessons. The first one touched on the six fears that mankind has been subject to for thousands of years, and I will recap the six fears, and then we'll talk about how these six fears are manifest. And in other words, what is the impetus for them? What causes them? And then we'll talk about how self-confidence, building our self-confidence, will allow us to overcome those fears and give us the courage to move forward and realize our goals. So now let's recap the six fears. Oh, and again, you guys, I'm covering the book. This is the book that I use. It's The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. He wrote this book back in the middle part of the 20th century. And Napoleon Hill, if you're not familiar with this man, he was someone who knew that he could, I guess, purify, I guess is a way of putting it, the laws that govern how successful a person can become in this life. So he codified these laws into 16 principles. And right now we're on the principle of self-confidence. So let's recap the six basic fears of mankind. We've got the fear of poverty, fear of old age, the fear of criticism. I'm taking my time with these two in case you guys want to take some notes. You want to write a few things down. At the end, you know, we always have the brief Q&A kind of open forum where we can talk to each other and discuss what we've just talked about, and help strengthen our mastermind alliance that we're building here. So we've also got the fear of criticism. We've got the fear of loss of love of someone. You've got the fear of ill health, which is a direct result. It stems directly from your fear of poverty and old age. Nobody wants to be broke. Nobody wants to get old, and then you get old and you get sick. So, and then you've got your fear of death. So the first step in elimination of these six fears, these six evils, is to examine the source of them, right? So the source of these problems that plague mankind are physical and social. They are, when I say physical and social, we are programmed from the time that we're very young to have these fears. We incorporate them and they become part of who we are, and they affect how we're driven to achieve our goals. The fear of poverty grew out of man's inherited tendency to prey upon his fellow man economically. So instead of men feeding upon each other physically, you know, cannibalism, that whole kind of thing, which has taken place in history, the fear of poverty comes from man's fear of some other man taking everything that he's accumulated. And it's a natural fear because that's what men do. We're trained from a very early age to be competitive. We approach life with this competitive spirit instead of the spirit of cooperation, which which is much better than a competitive spirit, because if you do things in a spirit of cooperation, you are not only going to benefit yourself, but you're going to benefit everyone around you. You're going to uplift everyone around you, and you're going to change their lives for the good, just like you change your own. Nothing brings man so much suffering and humiliation as does poverty. So that's a great fear. I mean, everybody's afraid of being broke because our economy judges you on that, which is wrong. We should never be judged based on how much material wealth we accumulate. That really has nothing to do with your character, with the kind of person you are. That's a man-made construct that's designed to to enhance this competitive nature of our culture, and it's not a good thing. This is why the world is in the chaos that it's in now, because everyone's competing for resources. We're competing for attention from each other. It's just not a good way to live. The fear of old age grows out of the thought that old age brings with it poverty. So, and it doesn't necessarily have to, especially if you're confident enough to make sure that you don't become impoverished. There's two reasons for this. One is our distrust of our fellow man. You know, again, we've all had these instances where someone is supposed to be our friend, or we trust them, we put our faith in them, and they betray our trust. So it's sad that we can't trust each other fully and completely because we've been let down. What I've learned to do now, what I'm learning to do, is to just let it all go. Because if you're stuck in the past, um, if you're stuck distrusting people, you can't move forward. So let that go. Stop distrusting. The fear of criticism comes in. Funny as this may seem, ladies, women, who's dressed the best, who's got the best hat, who's looking the best. So this fear of criticism, of others saying something um, um, not positive about you, is again culturally programmed. And bottom line is, once you reach a certain age, you really don't care. You really shouldn't care what anyone else thinks about you or what you do or how you do it, as long as you're not doing anything that's going to be detrimental to someone else or even detrimental to yourself. Um, so powerful and mighty is this fear of criticism, because it'll stop you cold in your tracks. If you're afraid of what people are going to think or what people are going to say, you are hamstringing yourself. You are making yourself a tool, a victim of a fear that's unwarranted. Now, the fear of loss of love of someone grows out of man's nature to steal his fellow man's mate. So, the whole thing about infidelity and um, people just not being committed fully to each other. So this is where that fear comes from, because people do things like that. The fear of ill health comes out of, again, this fear of growing old and then becoming impoverished and then not being able to get adequate medical attention to sustain the rest of your life. So again, fear of ill health. Stop thinking about ill health, and ill health will stop thinking about you. That's the way if you exercise your body, if you eat properly, if you get enough sleep at night, if you reduce the amount of stress that you're internalizing. You do this by removing yourself from it. And by that, I mean meditation. Meditation is incredibly useful in strengthening you from the inside out. So I recommend highly that you meditate, if for not 5 minutes a day, at least one. You want to start, if you have to, start out slow. Meditation is a way of removing the distractions from the outside. And then the fear of death. So everybody pretty much fears death because you don't know what to expect. You don't know what's coming. It's something that you're unfamiliar with. So my thing on the whole death issue is, why fear something that you've never experienced directly? So I say, don't fear death because you see it as an end, because it may not necessarily be the end of your journey. We don't know what happens on the other side of that veil. It could be a positive thing. It could be a negative thing. Who knows? My thing is, who cares? Live now. We're here now to live in the present. The moment is what's important. That's all you ever have. Think about it. You can't, those who live in the past are living an illusion, because the past is gone. Once it's gone and past, it's not coming back. You can't change it. So why dwell on it? It's only going to hamper your ability to see a brighter future for yourself. People that live in the past tend to be more depressed than other people. People that tend to live in the future tend to be a little bit more anxious. They have these anxiety attacks. They're just nervous about, and again, why worry about something that hasn't happened when all you have is right now? You just have this moment. So make the most out of every moment. Each moment is precious. Each moment is important. Each moment is a gift. So value those gifts. Now let's jump to, I got to get this going because our time is limited. I limit these to, these sessions to 15 minutes because I don't want to bore you. That's for sure. I just want to deliver some good quality motivational information to you. And that's part of what my driving force is in achieving success, is to bring others with me, to make sure that as on my journey, I'm helping as many people as I can on this journey, and to try to get you to live a more positive, productive, fruitful life. Now, Napoleon Hill talks about the self-confidence formula. This is how he recommends we overcome our lack of confidence, if you have it. So he's got a self-confidence formula, and the self-confidence formula has 5 parts. And what Napoleon Hill asks us to do is to, I'm going to read these 5 aspects of this formula to you, and then you can take notes. I recommend that you get this book, the actual book. I mean, you can always download this online, but the actual book, to have it in your hands, to read it, to go over it, to mark it up, to highlight it. And you can't see that because of my background. Anyway, I've got this thing all marked up and written in because it's like I'm not going to say it's a Bible of success. It's a way to point your life in the direction that you want it to go in. So the first part of the formula, I'm going to read these off to you. You're to say these things to yourself every day. You're supposed to say this to yourself. It's part of the whole auto suggestion, affirmations. Affirmations are a very powerful tool to change your life and improve everything about your life. So here's our first part of the formula. You're to say, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose. Remember, we spoke about the definite chief aim, definite purpose yesterday, or on our last meeting. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, aggressive, and continuous action toward its attainment. So you attract what you put out. You know what I mean? The energy you put out is the energy you're going to get back. So if you're putting out positive energy, you're going to get positive energy back. What's important, what is your why, is what this first aspect of the formula is asking. It's saying, I know I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose. Therefore, I demand of myself, right? You're going to put these demands on yourself. You're going to change your life to be persistent, aggressive, and continuous in action towards the attainment of your goal. Second, I realize that the dominating thoughts of my mind eventually reproduce themselves in outward bodily action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my mind for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to be, by creating a mental picture of this person and then transforming that picture into reality through practical service. So where the mind goes, energy flows. If you begin to see yourself as what you see yourself, then the universe will align energy, people, everything you need to become what it is that you see. Third, I know that through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of realizing it. Therefore, I shall devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of factors named in the 15 lessons of this reading course on the law of success. Now, this is only our third meeting, and We'll get to these other topics, and they're going to help us all change. Fourth, I have clearly mapped out and written down a description of my definite purpose in life for the coming 5 years. I actually did this, and I suggest that you do it too. You can't, if you don't have a map, you don't know where you're going. And if you don't know where you're going, again, I'm going to say you're wandering around in the dark. You'll never achieve your chief, your purpose, your true purpose. Fifth, I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon the truth and justice. I'm sorry, built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. So you don't want to be a dishonest, duplicitous person. You want to uplift others. You want to bring others on this successful journey with you, and what benefits you should benefit others, many others. It also says, I will succeed by attracting to me the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because I will serve them first. That's the key to success, is serving others. You want to make people feel good. You want to make people feel like you have their interest at heart, and then they'll do anything to be part of what you're doing. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity. Because I know that a negative attitude toward others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. So I believe in you guys. I do. I believe that you've logged on here now to partake of this information. This is very good information. I'm trying to live my life by these principles because I know that I can change my life for the better, and I can change others' lives for the better, because my goal is to change all of our lives for the better. All right. So after you've gone through these principles, he asks, well, you're supposed to do it here at the end. I will sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, and repeat it aloud once a day with full faith that it will gradually influence my entire life so that I will become a successful and happy worker in my chosen field of endeavor. And then, he asks that you sign this, and that you commit to these daily activities that he asks, the 10 minutes, the 30 minutes of basically reaffirming your confidence in yourself. You've got to Confidence starts from within. Once you have your definite purpose, and then you have a definite chief aim, and you've written these things down, and you're using auto-suggestion to reprogram your paradigm, to change the programming that has been instilled in you since you were a very young child. Once you begin to use the power of autosuggestion to change yourself, you're going to change the world. You're going to open up um, you're going to open up all possibilities. So in closing, I'm going to read a final poem. I love this one. I've read it before. My mom read it to me once years ago. So I'm going to read it to you now. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it is almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you've lost. For out of the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man. But soon or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. All right. And with that, I'm going to now open up our Mike, and let's get everybody involved here. How do we get you guys going? We can unmute. And so, any questions, any comments, anything anybody want to talk about while we're at the end of our presentation? I'm opening it up. Anything anybody want to say?
I got a question.
Go ahead, James.
You say that one of man's biggest fear is the fear of death,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, of course.
So, where do you think that fear might have come from? Because throughout history, we all know that at one point in time, back to the Egyptians, even the Aztecs, they used to look forward to the next level. What
Yeah.
changed over time to make people afraid of it?
Okay. In truth, listen to this. This is from the book because again, this is not your granddad. That's everybody. That's my grandson James. But in
All right.
truth, no man knows, and no man has ever known what heaven or hell is like, or if these places exist. And this very lack of a definite knowledge opens the door of the human mind to the charlatan to enter and control that mind with a stock of ledger domain and various brands of trickery and deceit. No man knows nor has ever known where we come from at birth or where we go at death. Now, the fear of death is born out of, um, I want to say, I don't want to say, what's the right word? I want to use this programming. So if you're told that, hey, when you die, if you don't do this and you don't do, if you haven't done this with your life, you're going to burn in everlasting, come on, man. Nobody really knows what happens when we leave this plane of existence. So the fear of death comes from misinformation, right? That's where it's coming from. Because, I have no fear of death because I don't know what it is. I am concerned with now. This is what's important. Why would anyone be preoccupied with not only something that hasn't happened yet, but something that no one living can tell you the details of? The fear of death comes from man imposing his fears upon other men, or should I say, trying to build a fear in other men for control. This is always about control. Most of what goes on is about some other man trying to figure out a way to get something that you got. All these fears tied together. So this fear of death, there's nothing to be afraid of. And the reason I say this is because you don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is. We don't know if it's final. We don't know if it's a rebirth. We don't. No one really knows. So that's where that fear comes from, James.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Like that
Any more?
answer.
Thank you. So thank you very much. Anything else anybody got? No. All right. Well, if we're done, then I'm going to end our meeting for today. And I want to thank everyone who attended. And I appreciate your presence. I appreciate your comments. And I look forward to our next meeting. The next lesson comes up this Thursday. So hopefully, if you're able to log in on Thursday, there'll be a replay too. I'm recording these broadcasts, and there will be a replay, and you'll be able to tune in then and catch up if you missed this one. But it's wonderful having you live. Okay, so I'm going to sign off with that, and have a wonderful Sunday and a great week, everybody. Bye.
You too. You too, man.